Today, we are delighted to have Pooja Sachdeva, head of the Department of IBM YP Design and IBDP Computer Science at Digital Society Pathways World School. She has over 25 years of experience in diverse educational roles. Let us shower her with a resounding round of applause as she delivers a heartfelt presentation. Please, ma'am, the stage is yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone from India. Thank you for joining today's session on the change in education landscape, the impact of AI in education on students and educators. I, Pooja Sachdeva, who is actually leading the head of the department as IB MYP Design and IB Computer Science and Digital Society as a subject, will explore the transformative role today what artificial intelligence will play or is being playing in shaping our educational journey. So when we are looking at this particular page, even the title slide, if you look at, we will be looking at the transformational journey. And even the picture which you see has been generated through AI further, matching two different particular scenarios by writing a particular prompt further in Delhi as a tool. So let's do further kick out on the things and share the agenda further. So for today's, we will be just deep diving further into understanding what AI is, how or what the role of AI is in the education, the impact of what particular educators are having of AI on their particular thing, and then we'll be exploring the impact on both the stakeholders, basically your learners or students and also the educators. We will also look at how it deep dives into a school scenario, followed by a question answer session and the conclusion. If you look at the picture right now on the screen, you see AI written there. But with AI written there, you have certain words coming up, which is like reasoning, knowledge, science, computer, technology. So all STEM kind of subjects coming in together to form this AI. So let's, as a layman, first understand what exactly do you mean by AI. To set the stage, I will be talking about its layman definition and then we'll be dealing it further with each and every one into deep diving of its with the education perspective. Artificial intelligence, as you see, is the science and engineering of making intelligent machines. It's a technique of getting machines to work, behave like humans. So we are just giving that technology or using that particular technique of reasoning what we were following to the machine so that the machine can actually help us to understand certain kind of problems what we are facing and give us certain kind of solutions further. So artificial intelligence is a development of computer system that can perform the task required by human intelligence. In education, it is like a game changer further which it is becoming. But before we deep dive, let's see how it is changing our scenario. If you look at the uses today of artificial intelligence, you will see that it is basically personalizing the user experience. It is a kind of chat bots which you see day in, day out, developing and growing in numbers. It helps you to do the predictive analysis in your day to day life. For example, I'll take a Netflix as your channel. All the movies which you get recommended are basically coming from this particular part of your AI, which is doing the predictive analysis at the back end and providing you those kind of for parts further. Content generation, which you do in education and is the most important thing which is required in the education system, you will see is coming from your artificial intelligence. Whether it is content curation or whether it is content generation, both play a major part in education today. Email marketing and campaigning, digital marketing, what you look at today, the whole e-commerce is all changing with the AI today. And AI had the power to change each and every particular area. So where it is being applied. For example, if I take an example of Mantra, we all day in day out shop from Mantra, but how much we know that Mantra is actually using the first company to use further AI into their particular system and coming up with a particular brand called Roadster. where the AI generated data provided them about the insight into it, that which are the products which are getting sold majorly, what colors are being chosen by people day in, day out. So these kind of things are looked into by the e-commerce websites, and they are promoting these further with the AI further. Voice search optimization, what we look into, web designing, what we see and how it has been designed, all that with the online advertising we see has changed with artificial intelligence. It has been all transformed today. But when I look at the AI further, we see that there are three subsets which basically play a major role. So if I look at this particular picture on the screen, we see in the deep dive in the center, we have deep learning, which is a subset of machine learning further, and then it is the subset of artificial intelligence which you look at. So the outer circle which we are talking today is impossible even if we don't talk about machine learning or deep learning further. So in context, I would first in a layman to explain further that what a deep learning is. It's like a technique which is used in machine learning that involves artificial intelligence, the neural networks, and recognize patterns based on data. When you recognize those patterns are further fed or trained by the machine learning. So you can say machine learning is a type of artificial intelligence that involves training algorithm to learn from data and make predictions and decisions. So that decision making power which you see in the artificial intelligence is coming from the data which you are actually giving or feeding into the machine. How many of you know that Google actually started with auto draw as one feature, and looking from there, when they saw the perspective there, how the data is used today to make the decision, they took out the new particular tools which are feeding the data from the backend from that angle. And then we see the artificial intelligence, which is a broad field that involves developing computer system that can perform tasks that typically require human intelligence, such as visual perceptions or your speech recognition or decision making or language translation for today that matter. So all these things are, without the three subsets, impossible to look into further. When we are looking today and these days, when we say, okay, we have three types of artificial intelligence which they are categorizing it into. So we saw the with the Turing test in 1950, when the AI came into first the power, and since then we have never looked at it back. But from last few years we can see that there was first a lot of development which happened in artificial narrow intelligence. Moving on with, from narrow intelligence we went to artificial general intelligence, where we are still working on, and it's not further moved on from there. But now we have very soon, by certain time limit, we don't know exactly, that we will be in the limelight where we'll be looking at artificial super intelligence further. So when we look at the artificial intelligence or artificial weak intelligence or narrow intelligence, it is the stage one intelligence, when you saw Siri, Alexa, Cortana, all those things playing role with you. When we saw artificial generative or general intelligence, when you saw your chat GPT last year on the same day when it was launched for you people further. And today we have so many other things like Bard and Duet, which has been launched by Google further. And then we have more coming in technologies and bots which are making a lot of space further. The time seems running so fast that there will be, soon we will be reaching to artificial super intelligence, but we have to look at it with the keen eye. And that's my research paper today, when will be talking about, will be dealing with further. When I look at the growth rate today in the market of AI, we see the upgradation trend which is going on. So you can see the trend on the bar chart is moving upwards, and it is showing that how exactly the AI is booming industry today. And everyone, whether it is a startup company or a big market analyst who actually is using AI and then providing all the emphasis there further to the market agendas. So these are, when you look at, so you feel that maybe you are like conscious about it, what needs to be done, what should not be done, how and what measures I should take when I'm actually into artificial intelligence further, or whether I should take it forward or not. So if you look at certain facts on the screen, you will see they are basically talking about the numbers which you are dealing or something you call as data. This data only is fed into the machine learning intelligence part, and then only the machines are trained further for artificial intelligence. So if you look at the data, it says by 2030, artificial intelligence will add $15.7 trillion to the world GDP, boosting it by 14%. It's a huge number when you look at it. There will be 8.4 billion AI assistants by 2024 in the world, more than people in this world. Mind it, highlighting again the people in this world. So it's more than people or more than the human existence which is there in the world right now. The global AI market is booming and it will reach $190.61 billion by 2025 at a compound annual growth rate of 36.62%. Looking at AI, how is it enabling devices everywhere and how it is reaching the devices further with the growth rate, what it is taking up, we are seeing the 14-fold since 2000 accelerated growth with startups also which is coming up, and we would bet more of them are coming up every single year. Every second you see there are certain kind of tools which are there, posted on LinkedIn, posted on maybe Facebook or any social media for that matter, where it is important for us when we are looking at the educational landscape to understand the impact of AI today, what it is making for us like educators and students, and then only look at whether to evolve it or whether to just say no for it or whether to continue with it, and what should be our aim. So our my research which I have just brought in curated for you is not only done by me, it's actually an particular lot of materials which I have read done by a lot of educators across the world, and that I have brought in for you further. Looking with that, we first need to understand the pros and cons the artificial intelligence brings with it. So, if I look at the pros, we say that in general, if without education you look at it, does not get tired easily. It is something you can work day in, day out, 24 by 7, 365 days in a year. Now, relational decision maker. Now, it's very rational when you are actually telling a human to take the decision, they will have their own perspective and bias to go with. But when we look at artificial intelligence, obviously, you can't say that it is 100% reliable because you will still have data which is fed into the machine learning coming from us as in humans. But that, if taken into consideration from varied people or varied age group or varied gender based information which we are taking, we can still say it was more rational decision making which will happen in the artificial intelligence era. We can see it nowadays with AR, VR, and metaverse and other things coming in where VR is being even used for treating people. We see the medical industry also growing with artificial intelligence and robotics coming into the picture. Accurate decision making with the precision when a particular operation or anything has to be done in the medical history, that is in the healthcare industry, or when a decision in a business or by a business tycoon has to be taken, then we always see these kind of decision making happening with the artificial intelligence these days, because there's a lot of data. And that's when I'm saying that it's not only data now, when Narendra Modi says that obviously it is like your gold, but now we have big data coming in, and with big data growing so fast and people not following the data life cycle to just erase that data which is not required, we need huge amount of data to be inserted into a machine to make valid good decision and rational decisions for us. So that is where the artificial intelligence always stands on the top in the market. You have selfless with no breaks, but in human you always require a break for certain time when you are actually tired and you don't want to work further. But if you look at the cons, we can't just ignore them because it actually incurs high cost, and the major social issue what it is bringing with it would be the unemployment. where people will lose their job when artificial intelligence has to come into power. So we have to see there is no improvement with experience which will happen, but we can see that when your generative AI has come up, obviously when it will reach to the super AI, it will surpass human further. So obviously we are looking at those as cons today, but maybe till that, but now it is no more a con which will be there further. But we have lack in creativity. Once I just went to a particular shop, and I went to even a particular workshop. So this workshop, which was dealing with a lot of intelligence and creativity which was required, when I was selling a particular kind of tool to them, that oh, this tool might can do a lot of wonders for your particular education scenario and everything, I just came out with one particular person who asked me one thing: if I provide my educators all the tools, do you think the creativity will come in automatically? Will it flow automatically? Will people accept it? Like when calculators also came in, people never accepted that. When keyboards came in, people never accepted that. In IB, when your e-assessment came in, people never accepted that with an ease. So obviously we know that artificial intelligence, when it's bringing pros and cons, we have to look in all these things. But yes, creativity is something which is still lacking here. But when I look at the features like Pika, when I look at features like your Delhi, we see, or Mid Journey in that matter, we see creativity also coming in, flowing in with a lot of artificial intelligence coming into the boom next year. We also further will be diving into role of AI in education, because my major topic is dealing with the change in educational landscape. So I will be talking about the role of AI in education in detail. So let's closely look at the transformative role of artificial intelligence in modern education, its benefits and challenges in the classroom, its application across the different educational settings, and we will also explore the impact of AI on teaching methods and curriculum design. We will also be looking at how crucial it is for educators and students as we navigate rapidly evolving educational landscape shaped by AI. But also, I will be keeping you pondering with certain questions. And as I move, let me ponder and give you these particular questions to ponder upon. How AI transform the way we teach and learn? How artificial intelligence transform the way we teach and learn? How artificial intelligence will be impacting education for educators and for students, for parents even as a stakeholder of school? What role does AI play in personalized learning? How can it enhance assessment strategies? How can educators utilize artificial intelligence in the classroom for teaching and learning purpose? How can educator utilize AI in classroom for teaching and learning? And all these particular things, we will deep dive into the system further. Looking at the statistics which is available on the screen right now shows the global AI in education market share. That too with just 2022, which is 15.9% if you look at for smart content, learning platforms with virtual facilitators. You have intelligent tutoring systems like math and coming in. You have fraud and risk management, which is looked into further. But if I look at the scenario of education, how is it actually making a particular deep dive into it? So AI is transforming the educational landscape by personalizing learning experience, by not only having the adaptive tutoring, by having the smart content development, by having access or giving access to education, by looking into all the K-12 learning, how it is happening at the scenario right now, and education for differently abled also further into the picture. Like I was listening to my colleague right now, and she was talking about immersive reader provided by Microsoft uh, education, and then you have a lot of other tools like reading progress, dictate features, which have come up recently, and people are using it day in day out in education. Even if we are look at these things, let's deep dive into three particular examples which I will be talking about, and these are real life example minded, and that's the reason the research shows. First example which I will take is of Georgia Tech. That's a university. In this university, while delivering a massive open online course, the Georgia Institute of Technology found it very challenging to provide high quality learning assistance to the students who are enrolled in the course. With approximately 500 enrollments every day, a teaching assistant wasn't able to answer the heaps of messages that the students were sending to teachers and educators or the admin. And without personalized assistance, many students soon lost the feeling of involvement and dropped out of the course. To cater to this, the personal attention at scale and prevent students from dropping out, Georgia Tech decided to introduce virtual teaching assistant. The name of the virtual assistant was Jill Watson, which is a chatbot intended to reply to a variety of predictable questions about formatting of the assignments and the possibility of resubmitting the assignments at a given period of time. Jill was trained on a comprehensive database which was fed into the machine learning and consisting of the students' question about the course, introduction emails, corresponding answers, and the teachers were providing it further. The relevance which it brought initially, Jill was able to answer like a human and was able to check everything like a human. Soon, Jill started to automatically reply to the students' introduction and repeated questions without any backup required by any human assistance. So that's the power of AGI, that is generative learning today. Another example which I'll take from the real life is the third space learning. While giving one-on-one math lesson, this particular platform had to cater to 3,500 pupils weekly. The third space learning was looking to improve the learners' engagement and identify best practices which needs to be utilized in the school or at the platform. To achieve that, they have applied AI to analyze the recorded lessons and identify the patterns in the teachers' and pupils' behavior. For example, AI can identify if pupil is showing signs that correspond to losing interest pattern, they have been there or the focus has been lost by them, and how much time it has been that they were not there on the screen. In the future, Third Learning Space is even planning to provide its tutors with a real-time AI-powered feedback during each lesson. For example, where tutor talks too fast, AI will advise them to slow down and keep the pace at which students can understand the language. Why going forward, we will just also look at the real life scenario of Indus International School, if you see, using robotics with AI into their curriculum and doing the tutoring together with them. The third particular real life example, which I will deep dive into, is from Duolingo, a language acquisition kind of app which is already there. Among three of the cases which I am considering, this appears to be an absolute champion in terms of number of challenges solved with the help of AI. For example, when many users felt so discouraged from being offered too simple learning materials, they offered out course immediately, and that's where AI powered placement tests came into being of Duolingo and played a particular role. Where being competitive, adaptive, the test adjusts the questions to the previously given answers by the users or by the students and generating a simple question if the user made a mistake and a more complex question if user answered correctly. The complexity of words and the grammar are used or always influencing the test configuration. Beside Duolingo, use AI to optimize personalized lessons also to the students. For that, they have developed a half-life regression model, which is a machine learning model, because we have four different kind of models which are present in machine learning, to be very specific, like supervised, unsupervised, and regression model, which analyzed the error patterns that millions of language learners make while practicing newly learned words to predict how soon a user will forget a word. The model also takes into account the word's complexity. These insights actually help them to reflect on the right time when a user should practice the word further. Whether they are not able to speak well, whether they are not able to reflect word or pronounce the word correctly, Duolingo says that they have already seen 12% boost in user engagement after putting the model in production. With the same purpose of boosting user engagement, Duolingo tried bots to help learners practice languages, and it is because available 24 by 7, the bots readily communicated with the users as well as shared the feedback to become better and better day by day. And the version of users were giving answers in a better manner because it's again a generative AI further which is being utilized there. Besides, the bot contained Help Me Reply button for those who experience difficulties with finding the right word or applying the right particular grammar rule also. Though currently unavailable, the bots will reappear again on the official manner on Duolingo to help these centers to revive these kind of strategies again in the education scenario. If you look at these three particular examples as a real life case study, you see that AI is already being utilized everywhere in the education today. Every new startup is trying to bring in AI, whether it is just for marketing purpose, whether it is in the clothing purpose, whether it is in the health sector, whether it is any of the sectors you look at, you will see AI is playing a major role day in, day out, and is impacting our users further. If I look at the evaluation of it, how they have things have been evolved in AI, if you look at the picture which is shown on the screen, you will see basically that OpenAI GPT-3 was launched in and started working on basically in 2021. And when OpenAI started this work, ChatGPT, which you already know of, was actually launched on the same day when I'm speaking to you today, last year, that is 30th of November 2023, and brought a revolution in particular, or evolution you can say, or a transformation you can say, in education industry, which actually left us to observe certain things and real life examples of artificial intelligence becoming integral part of modern education, transforming the way we are teaching today and we are learning. So now, without fail, let's celebrate the birthday of ChatGPT tool today, because it's the today when they actually was launched in the education sector and bringing in the change in the educational landscape, exactly matching the topic of mine which I am delivering today in front of you. Looking at this tool only as a chat GPT, what do you feel? I feel chat GPT website, when you look at the monthly views, you will see that how it started in 2022 on 152.7 million, reaching 1700 million and growing and growing and growing day by day, day in, day out. You will see that it is actually making a lot of change today in life of people, especially in the education or human knowledge sector. When I was looking very closely with it, and I asked my students to do a particular survey for me and just reflect on certain things, that how in your higher education or your secondary education I can integrate chat gpt, and doing a SWOT analysis, I wanted them to actually look at the challenges, barriers and opportunities and priorities what they are looking into further. And looking at all those things, we followed and found out certain similar pattern what was reflected here in one of the studies. They said the opportunity is that 24 by 7 support is provided and the accessibility is there with the AI. Personalized learning and tutoring was able to was observed basically among the students. They said that sometimes they were hesitant and shy to ask in class with the teacher, and that's how the bot or co-pilot, or you can say chat gpt, and all these kind of tools or AI actually became powerful to them when they were able to learn with them together. Supplemental learning resources whenever they wanted more practice to be done. For example, I take an example in my own subject area. When I was doing working with logic gates, we worked basically day in day out, and lots of samples and worksheets were created with it and curated with it. So students were able to deep dive into that particular concept when you knew that that particular concept is something which is major and should be understood by each and every single child present in the class. So AI helped me actually tackle that particular problem. Language learning and communication skills also improved. We had Miko, a particular robot, a particular bot which you can bring in your particular school, which help primary school students and maybe middle year school students also tackle and learn the way we have to communicate today. Support for instructors and teacher and assisting them with the resources, with providing them personalized worksheets, by planning lessons, by providing them lot of materials what they want to gain further. But yes, the creativity again is in the hands of educators, where they will have to work with a good prompt which they need to write. A good prompt has to be written to get a good answer or a good worksheet or a good particular thing which you can utilize in your school or in your classes for the students further. A lot of innovative learning experiences were shared, reflections were shared, the sheets, rubrics were created by teachers using the chat GPT. So all those things which for which a person can use the assistance, it's like an assistant used in the class at that point of time. Or the more, when we look at certain times to take the data which is coming from the student score report card and taking and feeding that particular report card data into the chat GPT, we saw that the research and the data analysis, the decision making of ours, what subjects have to be recommended to a child, what subjects the child is best at, how he can actually take his feedback again and again and become and make it to feed forward, how the high quality learning can be displayed in the class by the child. All that opportunities basically were brought in by your chat GPT there and then. We look at certain barriers. Yes, certain schools said no to, totally no to the chat GPT. They never wanted it to be in the school because they thought students will actually not follow certain pattern and will be involved in plagiarism and all. So they just thought it has a lot of ethical and privacy concerns which it is bringing with it. Yes, of course it is, but we have to teach our students today, educators and students today, to how mindfully use this particular tool when it is already there in the market, because if you're not using, you will be left behind. So there are schools where there was no awareness basically, so that awareness had to be brought in by a lot of workshops, and there we played a major, we had organizations such as Microsoft, we have organizations such as IBM, we have Adobe, we have other organizations which actually, or Google, brought in a lot of courses. Even Nescom for that matter brought in a lot of courses for teachers, for educators, for students on different platforms to bring that awareness further about ChatGPT and how to use it. We had new jobs. One time when I was saying we are losing jobs, we had a new job of prompt engineering coming into picture with ChatGPT coming into role play. The technological barrier, what it brings with it, because there were schools where we never had laptops or one-on-one laptops with people. So obviously that has to be brought in, or BYOD has to be brought in, that is bring your own device kind of structure in the school. So one-on-one laptop and other areas or mobile devices were required to bring in that barrier, otherwise it would have created the digital divide further. So we had to look in all those things. There were resistance to change. The people were actually with a fixed mindset. They never wanted to change and never grow with growth mindset further. So that was again a particular challenge which had to be moved on with. Academic rigor and quality had to be maintained, and then simultaneously when they are writing something, the plagiarism had to be checked on or keep on a track. So what as a teacher I did, I looked into drafts and drafts of people's work or students work when it was coming to me. So I would have not accepted a particular draft which came at last minute last day, because obviously it might be plagiarized. But if a student is working with you and you have seen the progress of the student with the draft work, automatically you will see that the rigor and the quality will be maintained, and child will not only use chat gpt copied work but actually will use it as assistant. The resource constraint was there, and the legal and regulation consideration were automatically there, which needs to be still looked into, because we do not have certain policies in place in India or maybe in the world across, which we are now thinking of bringing a lot of AI policies, AI related policies, which will actually keep a tap on all these things. We had challenges like academic integrity and plagiarism, as I said, quality control, personalized learning, expertise and authority which was there, and also communication and collaboration was sometimes hindering at that point of time as a challenge, when you were just giving away students the platform of chat gpt and telling them to go work on their own and find out the answers and use those answers without mindfully looking at whether the answer which is given is correct or not correct. There you actually have to bring in your more ethical practices in the school and bring in lot digital citizenship policies and all together into a particular structure or into a school environment, which actually will be helpful for further development of AI. And that's how the priorities which we came up with were again the policy development which needs to be looked at every particular stage and level, because a lot of startups, a lot of organizations which are already grown up, everyone was following this. So how we have to look into the policy development at government level, at organization level, at particular student or a class level, all have to be looked into further. Education and training became more important, and there we had a role, as I said, where Microsoft, IBM, Nescom, UNICEF, LinkedIn all came into being, and they started providing courses on AI, some free of cost and some where the cost was incurred to be given, and then automatically you learning how to implement your AI into the curriculum and start using it further for the collaboration and interdisciplinary efforts. Research and development has been happening, and sometimes it has been stopped. Like we have just recently, I was reading about how quantum computer research has been stopped, and how the Q Star project, which was started by OpenAI, has been just put on hold for a while. But all these things and research and development is something part and parcel of our life, and which will keep on growing further and further. Ethical review process is mandatory, as I said, because every single level is adopting all these policies and all these practices. So obviously we have to look into all ethical review processes, and continuously we have to monitor and evaluate our own practices further. So I'll give another example. Like I'm working with Pathways, as I said, and we have our own homegrown system like Wiseman, that is the LMS software what we use, and we actually use this where the software has an inbuilt AI to track students' progress, suggest resources to them on a bit different learning styles, and even predict the future performance or the grades which one has to provide them. Similarly, I have a lot of other LMS tools which I came across when I was doing my research, which are already available in the market, which have intelligent tutoring systems also available into it, providing personalized instructions and feedback to students, adapting them to their own learning pace and style both, and AI teaching assistants like the ones used in some of the university courses, as I said. Like if you heard about the CS50 course, where the bot is the one which is using right now, or helping students to actually analyze and study further, or maybe grade assignments or ask queries at a particular point of time. And the real life examples which I gave you of 3 particular institutes which are working on it, or platforms which are working on it. Now, not to forget, we have Kahoot, we have Khan Academy, so many to name, which are automatically there, which are using the AI features further at the back end and supporting you day in, day out in the scenario. Not only this, I would actually say that if I look at all these things and we see the report which I was reading recently, which was launched by US Department Office of Educational Technology, which is OET, they also recognize that AI as a rapidly advancing set of technology and can enable new forms of interaction between educators and students, helping educators address variability in the learning, increasing the feedback loops, and supporting the educators in their voices. So we have a lot of reports which are saying that obviously we have these kind of platforms giving the opportunity to educators to get involved into repetitive tasks, rather just be more creative in their teaching style and bringing new things into the classroom, where the learner agency and learner autonomy it takes place further. We also had Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates saying AI chatbots will be able to teach kids to read within 18 months. And we also, as I said recently, Harvard, which is even piloting with the AI assistant in its CS50 class this year only, and it has started using it, and the feedback was wow, about which I got from certain students who were involved, of high school students of my school who were involved in actually looking at CS50 course at that point of time. So, looking at these specifically chatbots which are backed by program large language models, basically with machine learning and deep learning playing a major role into them, we can help students from primary education to certification programs and self-guide them through volume of data which is present or material which is present to tailor their education to specific learning styles, catering to multiple intelligence also in together. If I look at further, the evolution of AI, as I said, in education has a journey from simple tools to complex learning systems which were involved. Initially, AI was used to perform basic tasks such as grading, multiple choice test with the forms and other Microsoft Forms and other tools which were there, or Kahoot. Over a time, you see that the technology has advanced and advanced, where AI's role is expanding day in, day out. AI is not just as a tool now, but an integral part of learning environment capable of personalizing the education, predicting students' performance, and even interacting with students in a natural language. How many of us we know the caption part in the YouTube video, or just summarizing the whole YouTube video with certain kind of tools, AI tools, or maybe bringing in resources and other things, or making drafting the whole lesson plan basically using the chat GPT and other features, actually has brought in all these changes further. When we look at
Um, Ma'am, I think your camera and mic is off. We can't see or hear you. We can still see your screen. I think the speaker is having problems with her connection, so please, everyone, give us a minute.
all the backup which is already there, how you can augment the intelligence further and then bring in a lot of learner and autonomy and the agency further into the play art in your classes. So when you look at the course assessment, learning tools, learning materials, learning environment, all these things formed a particular basic of all the plan which you will be making further for the students, for educators to follow it in the class. When you look at immediate attention is required by certain students and you want to actually give feedback to them to take it to the feed forward. So it should not be left at only giving them feedback, because where the student is taking that feedback further to the next level and improvising it, and can see the difference in himself, can reflect back on the impact which it had on himself, is basically looking at feed forward further. So you look at the better assessment way, because you're bringing in a lot of tools now, a lot of ideas which can be generated with the chat gpt and other ai tools, and looking at certain kind of weakness which are there, or challenges what we the students are facing in the class. And then you can look at the impact how the curriculum design which you're making can have on a particular student further. Smart content which you can bring in with a lot of tools which you can apply in the classroom, like your Kahoot, and your you have your other tools like which can be utilized in the school or in the class. Like when I was doing my particular session, I said on the logic gates, I brought in logic.ly as one of the particular tool, wherein students were able to practically see basically how the logic gate actually will give you binary number 0 and 1, or an input as on or off when you are implementing it in the class further. So bringing in those kind of simulated material will actually enhance all the kind of content which you are looking at, and it will become more customized learning plan for the students further. It will automate a lot of admin tasks when you're using chat gpt and all, because you don't have to do a lot of repetitive tasks, the rubrics and all, the platforms, the other things, or how will you assess a particular problem when you're giving it to the students. All that marking scheme and all can be actually curated with your chat gpt and other tools which you look at into. So you can actually take the students outside the classroom and then guide them further, looking at the real life example and showing them those real life examples, and bringing those real life examples into the classes to actually help them enhance and make connections with whatever teaching is happening in the class. So how there are various kind of schools, and the research which I have done has to say about it is the impact what they are making. So how ai is redefining the role of educator further. As I was looking at my research, I saw that it is not replacing teachers, but augmenting their further capabilities. How it was doing it? So let's deep dive into it and look at it. That ai was transforming teachers, transforming teaching methods, and introducing new kind of models of instruction. For example, like the flipped classroom, like the blended learning, where we had two tables kept, and those two tables were having the laptop where this child was able to do the research, one laptop where a chat gpt and ai assistant can be done, can be referred to whenever facing problem. There are a lot of group of people who are actually collaborating together in the classes. And maybe flip classroom, where you actually use edpuzzle kind of tool and just generate the whole video, give it for the instruction to the students to look at, and then actually implement into the model further. So while you were watching all the content online, and lectures also, usually at home people can watch with the flipped class learning, and further assigned problems which were done in the class with the teachers, offering more personalized guidance and more interaction with the students instead of lecturing method, which can be prevalent in the olden days at that point of time. This is becoming more prevalent when you see with the aid of ai technologies, where ai can use facilitate a blending learning model, a style of education in which students can learn using these electronic devices, online media, and face to face teaching also together, brought in all combinations which were good together, and giving them the instructions, making it easier for teachers to even implement these kind of models effectively. So ai has brought in all these particular things further for the teachers. When I look at the impact of ai on curriculum design, I also look at the integration of ai related topics using ai into the curriculum. Like if I talk about ib curriculum, we have digital society as one of the subject, where ai, and before also when it was itgs, we saw that ai, robotics, autonomous, all these particular parts are part of the curriculum. And what kind of assessment they are assessing on, they're giving you real life case studies, bringing in from the news articles which are day in day out happening, and then automatically asking students to refer and make connection with different concept, context, and a particular content which has been taught in the classes to the students at that point of time. and the whole scenario is left, or the autonomy is given to the student to pick up any topic, any real life example, and connect it with the concept and context further dwelled into. So if I look at the concepts, it can be like power, expression, change, which you actually have to look at. And then you actually use the content as your AI, robotics, autonomous, your data, big data, and all those kind of content which you are looking at, and looking at the connection with your context further, whether in the health industry, whether in the human knowledge or the education industry, or whether in the social life or a political life of a person, how it is bringing change further. When I look at AI, it is actually also seen that they are making significant impact on the curriculum design also. Looking at how AI is assisting you to make question banks and lesson introductions when you are doing in the class. So even a educator can be actually assisted with all these kind of tasks also, providing a good starting point like a hook which will actually keep the child on to your lesson and will not help them move from a particular place when they are actually looking at, or creating a kind of hyper doc which is provided to the student much before, where a student can actually go into a whole month and see whichever link has to be followed and what activities need to be even done at particular time when an educator is giving us all these kind of assistance further. So looking at a lot of course objectives, creation of a consistent scope and sequence in unit plans, and furthermore, AI is being even integrated in the curriculum. So suppose I was teaching shared economy, and while the economy teacher was teaching economics at that point of time, how I brought the economics teacher into my class and told them to be a guest speaker maybe for the topic shared economy which I was dealing in the digital society class, and how integration of both or the cross curricular of both particular subjects happened further, which in even in brought in a new personalized learning, or students learning actually increased and they got a valuable skills further which can be utilized in the real life world or future, and can understand the usage of technology being increasing and including or helping them gain their more learning experience or increasing their understanding further. The third part where educator can actually use teaching methods and curriculum design further was where they can just be a facilitators, guides and mentors rather than being a teacher, because as a teacher we always have a method of lecturing students. So why not become a facilitator, guide or a mentor where a chat GPT becomes the assistant, and then you take up the topics further into your classes, where when we see the role of teachers is changing and it is actually diminishing. When we say, like I told you and gave you example of Indus Valley School, where you have a robotic robot coming as an assistant in the class with the teacher and giving the lecture, and teacher is giving more differentiative learning or focusing on the children who are very weak or maybe not able to understand the topic which is going on, or maybe was absent and just want to fulfill the backlog which has gathered into the class. So without even replicating the same thing again and again, the differentiation can be done using the QR code. In my class, I placed the QR code on the board and I said, okay, you all have to scan. And when I knew that certain students will not be able to do the difficult task, how I actually guided them to actually scan first the easiest one, or the particular guided them to go towards a particular thing which only I knew was the easiest one, to actually gain confidence further and then only dwell into the complex task which has to be provided to or completed further. So we see that basically AI can help with these tasks like grading, like personalizing learning materials, even answering some students' questions further when you want the ability of fully replacing a human intelligence teacher or human teacher from a particular class, which cannot be replaced totally. But yes, the creativity or the power, some power can be provided to that assistant further who is there in the class. Teachers bring a unique set of skills into the classroom, like I said, creativity, which cannot come from AI until unless you know how to replicate that particular task, or you know how to actually write a good prompt and bring in that particular thing further. And like we all know, fellow educators have always told, the emotional touch, the human touch, which is required by the students, can only be fulfilled by the teacher, which is there in the class, which can actually inspire and motivate students in a way that machine cannot. So there the emotional intelligence will take over in the coming years, and you will see that the judgment of making right decision, whether it is ethically right or not, whether one should go further and create the unique dynamics of the classroom, all that will be looked into by a human rather than a pre-programmed algorithm further. In this new infused education system, we will also look at how the facilitators, guide, and mentors will role will be, and how they can use AI tools to manage some aspects of teaching, which can free up their time basically to focus on more complex and personalized tasks for each and every particular students, and whenever they require, in whatever help they require. I had few students in my class who were very much lower ability students, who were unable to write certain good answers, and to main motive is always to actually help them come up with their fears which they have, and using chat gpt and other tools, how I actually told them to start writing one paragraph each, and followed by that one particular paragraph, how you can make a 12 marker answer further. So where they were little hesitant in taking help of their peer or teacher, they actually took help of that assistant and further crossed all that particular part further. The next level where you can see the AI helping a teacher further in the design of curriculum and in this age is basically a prediction and possibilities. So where you have all the data given of a particular child achieving marks over a period of time in the whole year, and how you can assist and analyze those kind of marks and where they are failing to understand certain kind of concepts, so that you can actually bring in personalized learning for them further. So all that was something which one has to look into topic. So we see that these days the facilitators are actually providing or benefiting from this using the AI. And how are they benefiting? The uh, various parts are facilitating it through more personalized learning, automating it through basic activities which are including grading, enabling students to use AI as a tutor further, or maybe a new way to find use information, and then further looking at the entirely different form of teaching, adaptive learning, and giving taking the feedback to the feed forward, and reducing the trial and error method which was happening, and using certain samples or exemplars and teaching them further about the tools. So there were a lot of problems which were there, and AI actually came up as a solution further to all these particular kind of problems when you looked at. So we have this a whole length which is already there, which I might circulate it further for with the part, and how things have to be taken into consideration. But what we also looked at, that personalized learning with adaptive platforms, we also saw that time saving tools are also there, because these AI tools are actually helping us to save a lot of time, and you just don't devote our time to a lot of administrative assistance further, and has benefited a lot of us in each and every particular part further. So as we move forward, it is essential to for educators to embrace AI. So let's have some in discussion further, that how in different particular parts we see that AI can be used. So if I talk about AI in elementary education, we can see that for reading, writing, arithmetic, and logical questions which are there automatically formed, how AI powered educational platforms can adapt to students' individual learning pace, providing personalized exercises and feedback to help them master basic skills. These platforms can also use AI to identify a lot of things where they are struggling with, and then help them to improve and improvise in their particular platform. We saw example with the research in secondary school, where the facilitators were provided with the subject specific tutoring and college preparation, and we saw that AI is often being used for subject specific tutoring further, where like I discussed with the platforms of Duolingo and 3Pace. We saw that AI powered tutoring systems can provide personalized learning, or it can be like Khan Academy. If you go to students facing problems, CS50, the CS classroom, there are so many tools which are coming up which help students to prepare for the college and entrance exams, and can adapt to different learning styles basically, and target feedback to help them improve in these specific areas. When I looked into higher education, I saw that it helps them to write the extended essays, TOKs, guiding them into the particular mode, in depth understanding, but just not copy pasting, but just analyzing and understanding certain concepts which were not clear otherwise. So you can use AI powered research tools to help students and teachers to understand the relevant resources. But important is to analyze the data at that point of time, because if you are unable to analyze the data at that point of time, the connection which you are making in a controlled environment, then it won't be a proper one, and it would end up with plagiarized work further, which needs to be looked at. And
Yes,
certain
ma'am.
times,
Thank you. Sorry. Thank you so much for your very passionate sharing. However, due to time constraints, we have to end the session now. So, really, thank you so much for your very
can I have one
informative.
minute?
Um, yes.
Okay, so I'll just go and talk about the impact which was there, and how the education is a particular impact of learner. If you see here, will be able to showcase here with the freedom of choice, self exploration, passion, and all those things which are provided to the learner with the joy of AI, and how we can actually implement the high agency or high agency personalized learning with the voice and choice given to the students, also to benefit it with the personalized learning, what we discussed. The challenges what we saw further and we discussed basically are here, and no more, but these challenges have to be looked into very carefully by the each and every particular person when they're using AI for any social ethical policy further. Thank you. That's it from my end.
Okay, thank you so much. We have learned a lot from you from this very information packed session, and I can see that there are a lot of people who wanted to ask questions. So, if you want to continue to ask questions, you can ask it in the lounge zone of the AirMeet platform. So, really, thank you for your attendance together with everyone present in the session, and we look forward to seeing you in the next sessions too. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, bye everyone.